Vessels are piling up outside of the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach in California, stemming from a worker slowdown issues amid contract disputes. This could start disrupting the nation's supply chain, very similar to what happened during the worst of the pandemic. Joining us right now is Gene Seroka. He is the executive director of the Port of Los Angeles. And Gene, what are we seeing right now? We know there's a slowdown. How severe is it?
Good morning, Becky, and thanks for having me on. What we saw is last Thursday, talks between the dock workers, the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, along with the employers group, the Pacific Maritime Association, broke down, mainly over wage. That next day, Friday, dock workers at the rank and file level voiced their displeasure by not going out on the job in normal capacity. And we began to see spot shortages of workers across the docks through the weekend. But both sides have gotten back to the table for bargaining yesterday, Tuesday, in San Francisco, working through these all-important issues. There are no ships at anchor today here in Los Angeles. We do have 51 vessels coming across the Pacific, pointed our way and to Long Beach, which is a little bit higher than we have normally seen over the past months. But with spot shortages of labor, cargo's not moving as smoothly or quickly as we would like. That's got to return to normal.
Union Pacific already issued a temporary pause for shipments from some of their inland terminals from some of the issues happening from this. So you are already starting to see ripple effects that kind of spread out from there. What's the worst case scenario?
Oh, that's right. And the UP recycled that advisory, so they're back in normal business. And it's interesting, Becky, because the amount of cargo that's designated for rail is about half of what it should be right now. And the aging rail cargo is down under 400 units. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. The downside to this whole thing is if these discussions become protracted and the workers are not going out in full force, then we could have impacts. I don't see that happening right now, as, again, both sides are talking under the construct of this bargaining for the collective agreement. But also, realistically, I have not seen any significant moves in dwell times, how long containers are sitting, either waiting to go out by truck or rail. Yet there is pain being felt by the trucker. 2/3 of all of our cargo moves in and out by truck, and we've got to get that service right.
What's the issue at the bargaining table?
I think we're down to two pieces, and I don't speak for either the employers or the dock workers, but it's wage and robotics. And we've got to work through these important issues to make sure that the dock workers who are out on the job an average of 6 days a week during the surge are paid what they're worth. And with technology moving more rapidly than ever before, especially in the area of robotics, that's going to keep coming, but we cannot leave the worker behind.
There has already been a letter that the National Association of Manufacturers has sent to the president asking him to intervene. Do you anticipate any action coming from the White House?
Yeah, and others have sent letters in, too. I saw Jay Timmons' letter last night, National Retail Federation, Matt Shea, David French, and others. Here's what's been happening. Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su has been working with both sides individually and collectively, trying to keep these talks moving. Julie and her staff have been working tirelessly. They're not putting out press releases or coming on TV. They're talking with both to keep this progress moving. And sometimes it's hit and miss. Sometimes we hit some brick walls. But really, from the Secretary of Labor's seat, this continues to be a top priority.
Gene, just in terms of what to anticipate, what comes next, I mean, problems like this, even if they get resolved over a matter of weeks or months, do have an impact on where you have cargo winding up. I think there's been some market losses. You all have seen market share losses to other ports over the last couple of years just because of the issues that you face there.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. And this is not breaking news either, Becky. For 20 years now, we've seen declines in West Coast market share. Back in 2002, 80% of the Trans-Pacific trade moved over West Coast ports for containers. Today, that's a 56% share for a variety of reasons. And right now, about 15% of our normal lift in cargo has moved to the East and Gulf Coast ports. And that's because importers and exporters were very concerned about possible job action here on the docks. And over 13 months of negotiations now, which is the longest I can remember, we've had about 3 bad days. So some have been super cautious, but realistically, the cargo keeps flowing. We've got to get these talks to a point where we can reach a tentative agreement between both sides.